It's likely that you have a lot of preconceived notions about the country of Sweden. The car is built there and, well, some of their other major exports. But while it may be true that the country is filled with blonde models and Swedish meatballs and flat-pack furniture, forget everything you know about Volvos. Well, most of it anyway. What you're looking at here is the brand new Volvo S60. Now, the design of this car, well, not exactly, mind-blowing, is a lot nicer than traditional Volvos of the past. Just driving over here to shoot this today, we saw one of the previous S60s, and it's really very dull and just blends in. This is the kind of car you'd be proud to park in your driveway. Now, the style is inspired by the XC60 crossover, which is Volvo's one of their newer models. It came out just a couple years ago, and since then, Volvo's really taken a new style design direction, and they're hoping to really invigorate the brand. The XC60 is their best-selling vehicle, and they're hoping to make this one of their best-selling vehicles too with that new design inspiration. Under the hood here is a turbocharged 5-cylinder. This is the T5 model. It makes 250 horsepower, 266 foot-pounds of torque at some pretty low RPM, making it a very quick vehicle. We're talking about 0 to 60 in 6.8 seconds, which is very good. It's not the highest horsepower version. Volvo does initially offer a T6 model with 300 horsepower and even more torque. So that is a real sort of performance machine. But 250 horsepower is no slouch, and we're going to take this machine for a ride. When it comes to hitting the corners, the Volvo S60 surprises quite a bit. Now, it's not, an incredibly dynamic package, but it is quite nice, especially when outfitted with the larger 18-inch wheels. So it's, a reasonable amount of fun. It's not going to, get your blood pumping like crazy, but much more than you'd expect from a brand like Volvo that's known for safety. It is a front driver, so there is the prerequisite understeer that you're going to get in the corners, but overall it's quite a fun package. So one of the many features in the S60 is a lane departure warning system that lets you know, it sort of alerts you when you've started to leave your lane. Now, if we just started cruising off the road here, you can hear it go off, and that's the sound that it'll give you. It'll actually give you that warning, and it's a nice reminder. It seems a little obnoxious at first. It actually turns down the volume on the radio as well. But driving ourselves, we found that it'll actually happen when you're just driving on a normal daily routine. It's usually when you're fiddling with the radio or something like that. And you just take your mind off the road for a split second, and it kind of alerts you to bring it back. I mean, probably nothing would have happened in that split second, but it's a nice reminder to keep your eyes on the road. One of the features we're going to test out is Volvo's City Safety, which essentially brings the car to a full stop if you detect that you're going to run into a vehicle. They also have a pedestrian warning system, which we're going to test in just a second. But let's do the City Safety first. We're going to drive right towards those pylons on there and not touch the brakes. And that's it. I almost flinched and grabbed for the brakes right away, but it stopped and worked, no problem. That's pretty surprising. Now, the interior of the S60 is very nice. Now, what we have to admit, our opinion is incredibly biased by the fact that this car has a lot of extra features in it. In fact, there's so many extra features that I had to write them all down because there's no way I'm going to memorize it. You can listen to this. It starts at $30,975. That's what we're looking at for the interior of a regular T5 model, which is a big discount over the T6. So it's actually an affordable car. You're not looking at like full premium pricing here. But as we said, it's got an $800 climate package, a $2,700 multimedia package with park assist, upgraded audio, a $2,100 technology package, collision warning with pedestrian detection and full auto brake, plus adaptive cruise control with lane departure warning, a $1,900 beechwood brown leather interior, which is beautiful. It's also got a $900 dynamic package, which includes 18-inch wheels, $700 blind spot assistance system, and $300 wood inlay, which actually is a bargain because this wood is beautiful. Now, the gauges on the front, they're a little simple, but they're still nice. The real issue, if we have any problem with this car, is the whole integration system here in the middle. There's a million tiny little buttons here, and you got to know if this is a Swedish car, and the Swedish are from the middle of the Arctic. You put on your winter gloves here, and it's impossible to almost push these buttons. They're these tiny little buttons, especially if you're wearing some winter gloves, which is kind of a pain. The system itself doesn't work all that great either. We're trying to find something using the navigation earlier, and it's hard to use. The systems, if you push to the radio, you've got to scroll through to get to different things, and there's no sort of knob or arrow directions to move yourself around in on the nav screen. So that's kind of a pain, and we really think they need to work better with that. If you look at how the system really is set up on the screen, it looks a lot like Ford's My Ford Touch system they just came out with, and that's probably not a surprise considering Volvo used to be owned by Ford. Now, in that bare bones trim, this is actually a really impressive package for the price if you're looking at just a regular mid-size sedan, say a V6 Camry or Accord, something like that. When you option those all fully out, you're looking at something similarly priced, and then you could be driving a premium branded vehicle like a Volvo, which is a nice way to go. You can also look at this stacking up against something like an Audi A4. It's a bit of a stretch, but it's definitely not far off. And when you option all out, again, you're looking at some pretty impressive features here. All that being said, a lot of S60 buyers are going to be return buyers. So we'll ignore those guys for a moment. They're going to come back no matter what. Is it a better version of the current car? Of course it is. I mean, Volvo's done their homework on this one really well. But what we really need to focus on is, younger buyers and buyers who would never normally consider a Volvo. I mean, somebody who drives an Acura TSX, a younger male looking for something a bit sporty, a bit different, and we really encourage them to check this vehicle out. We guarantee you'll be surprised.